Hello everyone. Today's video is about the most prolific artist of the Railway series. A while ago I was making a video which never got released, which included this graphic to show how much work Spong put out compared to the other major illustrators. Since then, even more evidence of his Thomas work has come to light, and when someone recently retweeted that old graph, it made me want to make a video showcasing some of his lesser seen work. In 1983, the first Railway series book in 11 years was published. It had a new author in Christopher Awdry and a new illustrator in Clive Spong. To some, the post-Wilbur Awdry books are inferior to the original 26, but I'm a big fan of them all. The change of illustrator was a big shift. The last Railway series book featured the technical and subtle illustrations of Gunvor and Peter Edwards, which were now replaced with a simpler, brighter depictions of Sodor by Clive Spong. This video isn't about that change of tone that came from the new author, or the artistic merits of the illustrations of the books, but rather a quick look at the vast amount of extra pictures produced by Spong outside the Railway series books, and to show a few rare pieces you may not have seen before. I'll also note the Railway series books he contributed to, as I think it gives an idea of how he settled into the role of illustrator. I think the best place to start this look at Spong's extra art is the same place I started this video, 1983. To go along with the new Railway series volume, Really Useful Engines, a new map of the island of Sodor was released. This would be the fourth map drawn by one of the illustrators as far as I can tell. The first by John T. Kenny came out in 1958, followed by two others by Peter Edwards. These maps, although very good, were perhaps a little dated, and so a new, clean map was illustrated by Clive Spong and released with some extra illustrations. The front cover has Thomas, and I have to admit the only time I find Spong's work seriously lacking is in Really Useful Engines and in this map. The jump in quality by James and the Diesel Engines the following year is impressive, and I think he only gets better from there. The reverse has a list of released stories, and Sodor is shown in red in this neat little illustration of the island in relation to the rest of the British Isles, or Britain Island. I'm going to open up the map now, but I'll put up a small version on screen as it's quite large. The three corners have illustrations where Spong has re-illustrated old Dalby illustrations, complete with mistakes. As well as Really Useful Engines and the new map, we also got some pop-up books this year. Tom's the Tank Engine Goes Fishing and Bertie the Bus and Tom's the Tank Engine were both released in 1983. The following year, 6 more were released. James the Red Engine and the Troublesome Trucks, Percy the Small Engine Takes the Plunge, Tom's the Tank Engine and the Tractor, Henry the Green Engine Gets Out, Henry the Green Engine and the Elephant, and the Flying Kipper and Henry the Green Engine. 1984 also saw the release of Thomas's Christmas Party and the second of Christopher Awdry's Railway series books, James and the Diesel Engines. Now, if you guys fancy I can review the pop-up books at a later date, let me know in the comments below if you fancy that. I'm not sure if there are any reviews on YouTube. I'm sure there are images of the contents on the Wikipedia page. However, it's the slipcases my copies of the pop-up books came in that really got me interested. I noticed this image of Henry that looked familiar but I couldn't remember from where, and the same for this one of Thomas. I realised Thomas was a re-illustration of the Dalby illustration that was a re-illustration itself of Reginald Payne's original from Book 2 of the Railway series, and I eventually worked out I recognised Henry from his illustration in the Island of Sodor book released in 1987. I'll come back to that in a second. In 1985, Great Little Engines and Thomas Comes to Breakfast came out, followed by more about Thomas the Tank Engine and Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree in 1986. 1987 would be a great year for the Railway series though, with a new volume, Gordon High Speed Engine, the return of Diesel in Thomas and the Eagle Diesel, and the publication of The Island of Sodor, possibly the most important book in the series. The Island of Sodor doesn't have much in the way of illustrations. Most of the pictures are of maps and the Audrey family. There are 2 pages with illustrations of some of Sodor's engines on. My copy has some scribble on. It shows engines 1 to 7, illustrated by Spong, apart from Thomas, whose image is taken from Thomas the Tank Engine. It is on this page that I recognise the illustration of Henry from the Popup books. Happily, the back of the books also have the full colour illustrations of James and Percy too. Hopefully one day the colour illustrations of Edward, Gordon and Toby will show up. The front cover of The Island of Sodor is interesting too. It shows part of the end papers of the books. These were originally illustrated by Edwards and updated to Spong's end paper design during his tenure. I think more about those in another video though. There is now something of a lull, with only Toby, Trucks and Trouble in 1988 and Thomas and the Twins in 1989. In 1990, another new Spong illustration showed up, as well as the new book, Jock the New Engine. This miniature collection features Thomas hauling a van on the cover. It is not taken from any other book. It features Thomas, from More About Thomas the Tank Engine, on its side. The second volume, released the following year, has the same side illustration, but a familiar illustration on the front cover. All the books included were illustrated by Dalby. In 1991, Thomas and the Great Railway Show was released, and in 1992, Thomas Comes Home was released, as well as another Spong illustrated map of Sodor. On the back, it states it was published in 1992. However, it has a list of published novels all the way up to Henry and the Express. That did not come out until 1993. The map is slightly improved over the one included in The Island of Sodor, and this time is printed in colour, as the 1983 map was, although this time there are no illustrations decorating the map. In 1994, alongside Wilbert the Forest Engine, a final series of pop-up books was released. Unfortunately, there were no new Spong illustrations on the covers of these. Thomas and the Fat Controller's engines came out in 1995 and was followed by New Little Engines in 1996. Then came another 11-year hiatus before Thomas and Victoria in 2007 and another gap before Thomas and his friends in 2011. I thought that was it for Spong artwork until Veronica Chambers revealed at the third Audrey extravaganza that Clive Spong had been commissioned to make a special piece for Royal Mail and the Wilbur Audrey Centenary stamps. It took me a while to get hold of this, as the books often go for over £100. This copy was listed on eBay for £5 as it was missing the stamps, but then they included the stamps anyway. The front cover has Spong's illustration of a funnel and the lamp for the L, and has a work in progress pencil sketch on the inside cover. Got no idea who they are, probably just won a competition or something. Tom's the Tank Engine, page 34. There are some other railway stamps in this book. And there we go. I like how the page design is reminiscent of the Railway series volumes with the bright colour and the white border. I'll show you the other pages. There's nothing about Spong's artwork in here. Obviously not many people have seen this. And that's it. If you're interested, I can obviously do a review of any of these books in more detail later on. Now there are some other Spong artwork pieces that I've skipped over for this video, either as I don't own them or I don't have them to hand, such as the artwork on several box sets of books, but I hope to revisit this video soon with some more rare Spong art. Anyway, hopefully you've seen a new piece of Spong art in this video, or at least got a better look at some. I really like Spong as an artist, and I plan on making more videos about him. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to know about the artists of the Railway series, as it's a subject I really enjoy researching. Anyway, thanks for now.